You are watching WECT's Carolina in the Morning.
29 after the hour, taking a look now at the stories just into our newsroom. The man accused of sending ricin-laced letters to President Obama and some other officials will be appearing in court today. A judge will decide whether James Dusky of Mississippi should remain in custody. Laboratory tests showing 5 of the 6 samples taken from his former martial arts studio did test positive for ricin. Dusky says he's had nothing to do with those ricin letters.
This morning we're learning archaeologists have found evidence that some of the first American settlers resorted to cannibalism. They say the proof is in cutting marks found on the skull and shin bone of a girl they're calling Jane. It happened during the winter of 1609 and 1610, a period known as the starving time at Jamestown, Virginia. It's been written colonists resorted to eating horses, dogs, cats, rats, mice, and snakes. There are also accounts of some cannibalistic behaviors. A special exhibit about Jamestown and Jane's story opens at the Smithsonian tomorrow.
And brand new right now, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI will come home to his new home today. This will be the first time that a reigning pope will live side by side with a retired pope inside the Vatican. All eyes will be on Benedict's physical state today as he's welcomed by Pope Francis. The last time that Pope Benedict was seen by the public was back on March 23rd. That's when he appeared remarkably more frail and thin than when he left the Vatican on his final day as Pope. That happened 3 weeks before that.
Unusual weather to say the least here in eastern North Carolina. Our daytime high temperatures have been struggling to get into the low 70s. And as we take a look outside right now, we're only at 60 degrees. Winds out of the northeast somewhere between 5 to 10 miles per hour. I expect to see those conditions to continue to warm slightly as we move throughout the day today. Notice those northeasterly winds at about 15 by this afternoon. Temperatures start to move up into the low 70s. A pretty good looking day here other than the slight opportunity for some drizzly rain moving overhead. The temperatures will be nice for this time of year. The 60-degree mark just about for everyone across eastern North Carolina. Coastline inland at 59 degrees for all of the thermometers, Elizabethtown, Whiteville, and Clinton. And as we move throughout the remainder of the day, we do expect to see those temperatures bumping up to around 73 or 74 degrees. We'll talk more about that. I have the 7-day forecast for you as well. But first, here's Caroline with traffic.
Thanks, Colin. Well, quick look at the roads right now. Always clear, no issues to report. You can see it here live on our traffic cam on Carolina Beach Road and Shipyard Boulevard that this intersection is open for you if you're about to head out the door right now. And I'll take a closer look at the roads for you coming up and a look at your pump patrol report. That's all coming up in the next few minutes. Bob and Kim.
Thanks, Caroline. More testimony is expected today in the murder trial of the death of a 5-year-old girl from Fayetteville. Yesterday, Shania Davis's 11-year-old brother testified. He says he isn't sure if Mario McNeil is the man who kidnapped his sister. Davis's brother was 7 when she was raped and killed. He says the man who took Shania looked like McNeil, but he couldn't be positive. McNeil could face the death penalty.
Well, this morning we're hearing from a Pender County judge who sentenced a man to at least 12 years in jail. Lance Powers pled guilty yesterday in Burgaw to murdering his girlfriend and assaulting several others using a car. Prosecutors say that Powers grabbed the steering wheel while his girlfriend was driving. This caused them to crash head-on into an oncoming SUV. The crash killed his girlfriend, and the pregnant driver of the SUV and her 2 children were seriously injured. During the court, the judge in the trial said Powers did not look remorseful.
Hopefully I got his attention, and that's what it was about. I want to get his attention that this is a serious thing, and I didn't think he took it as serious today as he should have.
The judge also said Powers may not contact the victim's family, and if he does, he will be placed under a $5 million bond.
New this morning, attorneys are preparing for closing arguments this week in the Jody Arias murder trial. Testimony ended yesterday. Arias is charged with first-degree murder in the stabbing and shooting death of her boyfriend in 2008. Various experts have testified that Arias suffers from post-traumatic stress, amnesia, battered woman syndrome, and borderline personality disorder. The jury could get the case by the end of the week.
Also new this morning, 3 Georgia college athletes have been accused of rape and also some other charges. This stems from an alleged assault at Morehouse College in Georgia back in March. The student athletes are members of the school's basketball team. 2 of them are facing rape and aggravated sodomy charges. The third one faces charges of aggravated sodomy, kidnapping, and reckless conduct. The Moorhead athletic director has chosen not to comment about the case, but in an unrelated case, a fourth Morehouse student was arrested and charged with rape back in April.
Well, this morning we're learning the 3 suspects arrested in the Boston bombing say they only knew about the bombers after authorities released photos. Court documents say the young men, who are friends of the surviving suspect, sent each other text messages after they saw the photos. This led them to try to get rid of Johar Tsarnaev's backpack and his laptop. Well, they're accused of covering up evidence from the attack. If convicted, they could face up to 8 years in prison plus a hefty fine.
News overseas, we're learning today that North Korea sentenced an American to 15 years of compulsory labor. North Korean media saying that Kenneth Bae's trial on charges of plotting to overthrow the government took place on Tuesday. The tour operator from Washington State was arrested back in November. Bae's sentencing will likely add a further complication to the already strained relations between Pyongyang and Washington, as both countries tentatively pursued diplomacy after weeks of warlike rhetoric coming from North Korea.
New this morning, take a look at this video. This is from a May Day march in Seattle, one that turned violent as it progressed. At least 18 people have been arrested. Protesters threw rocks and bottles at police and reporters. You can see the streets trashed. In return, police retaliated with flashbangs. Windows of businesses were broken and cars with people inside were banged around. Police say 11 adults and 2 minors were arrested for property damage.
And we saw some of that violence right here in the Tar Heel State as well, where 5 people were arrested during the May Day rally through downtown Raleigh yesterday. Workers and immigrant rights advocates were protesting North Carolina Republican policies on voter ID and tuition for illegal immigrants. Officials say the 5 were arrested for pushing officers and will most likely face assault charges.
Dozens of Freightliner workers are taking a stand against job security. They protested outside the Cleveland plant earlier this week. The issue is the number of trucks produced at the local plant versus overseas. More production will mean more work. In March, the company announced a wave of layoffs, but it would not be as bad as expected.
Some good news that's new this morning. It seems like the job market in North Carolina is getting better. New jobless numbers released yesterday, and the report showing the unemployment rate in New Hanover County fell from 9.1% down to 8.8% and fell in the state overall as well. But nationwide, hiring numbers were disappointing. Employers only adding 88,000 jobs in March compared to 268,000 the previous month.
President Obama is heading to Mexico today. It's a trip expected to be dominated by trade and immigration. He will meet with the Mexican president in order to win an immigration overhaul here in the U.S. He needs a growing economy in Mexico and a Mexican president willing to help him secure the border. He plans to promote Mexico's economic success and its place as the second largest export market for U.S. goods and services.
Also happening today, an autopsy scheduled for Chris Kelly, who died yesterday. Kelly, half of the rap duo Criss Cross, the 34-year-old died at an Atlanta hospital after he was found unresponsive at his home. Authorities say they are investigating his death as a possible drug overdose. Kelly, known as Mac Daddy, and Chris Smith, known as Daddy Mac, were introduced to the music world in 1992. The duo wore their clothes backwards as a gimmick, but they won over fans with their raps.
Country singer George Jones will be laid to rest today. Among others, former First Lady Laura Bush is scheduled to attend. The public funeral is being held at the Grand Ole Opry House in Nashville, Tennessee. George Jones died last week after being hospitalized for a fever and irregular blood pressure. He was 81 years old.
And this just in just a few hours, construction crews planning to raise the final sections of the One Trade Center, the spire up in New York City. Crews will raise them to a temporary work platform on top of the building in preparation for the installation. Iron workers will then install them at a later date. Once they are installed, the 408-foot spire will make it the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere with the iconic height of 1,776 feet. Today's work was originally scheduled for Monday but was postponed because of bad weather there in New York.
Well, hopefully they'll get some better weather today, and we will as well, Colin.
Epic conditions there across the northeastern United States as they're under the influence of the high pressure, as we will be as the week continues to go on into the weekend. Let's take a look at your current conditions out there and what you expect over the next 5 hours. Your morning commute might see just a couple of spot showers. For the most part, cloudy skies, mild conditions. Usually our overnight lows are in the mid-50s, but the added cloud cover has allowed us to stay a little bit warmer through the evening hours. And then as we move into the afternoon, we'll be a little bit cooler, only reaching the low 70s by this afternoon. Take a look at the current visibility out there. We have had some visibility issues, mainly because of some patchy fog in inland locations, places like Elizabethtown and Whiteville, 5 to 7 miles of visibility. There could be pockets of fog out there. Tomorrow morning, I think that will be more of a problematic occurrence there. As you see these showers starting to push on toward Onslow County, a few of them along the New Hanover County and Pender County line, one skirting just along the Brunswick County coast. Spitting showers are going to be in play throughout the day today, but just a 20% chance of precipitation, and accumulation should be very light. We're talking maybe just a few 1/100ths of an inch of rain for eastern North Carolina. Taking a look, a broader view here, temperatures down into the 40s for Boone, back into the 50s there for Asheville, 59 degrees in Fayetteville, 60 degrees in Wilmington, 66 degrees in Charleston. Here's a big cold front, frontal boundary from Chicago draped back off toward Dallas. Cold air on the backside of this thing. Snow showers for Kansas, Nebraska, northern Missouri, Ohio, Iowa, back up into Wisconsin and Minnesota. We have seen steady snow throughout the morning in those locations, and that will convert to thunderstorm activity for Chicago later today. So there could be some problems if you're commuting from coast to coast. Let's take a look at our hour-by-hour forecast. Winds out of the northeast for a good chunk of the day today. As we zoom in here, stop this for your afternoon. Very similar conditions to what we saw yesterday, with some showers lurking offshore. Some of them could move onshore. A small chance for precipitation, not a lot of accumulation, just enough to wet the roads perhaps. And then some breaks in the cloud cover. We will see some sun here and there, and that's what's going to allow those temperatures to move into the 70s today. Clouds tonight keep us warmer than what we would be, still going to bottom out in the mid-50s. And then tomorrow morning into the afternoon, our real last chance for showers, I think, with plenty of sunshine, highs into the mid-70s. Saturday looking great, Sunday as well. A gorgeous looking weekend forecast. I'll share the particulars of that with the hour-by-hour forecast and the planning forecast coming up in just a few minutes. But first, here's Caroline Waltrip with a look at First Alert traffic.
Thanks, Colin. Well, right now, all is clear. No accidents or issues to report on this Thursday morning, the eve of Friday. So let's go ahead and take a live look here at South College Road and Oriole Drive. You can see cars are out and about heading to school or work around this area. So if you're trying to head to UNCW on South College Road, you should have no problems at all. It is a little breezy, this camera's showing here, so just watch out for that. But as you can see, no problems in this area. And let's take a look at that Pump Patrol report. If you need to fill up today, it's going to be $3.34 a gallon at Go Gas on Carolina Beach Road near South College Road, a penny more at Sunoco on Dawson Street and South 17th Street, and again at Carolina Petro on South 17th Street and Peel Street. And of course, if you'd like to see the lowest gas prices anywhere in your town or closest to your home, just visit WCT.com, scroll down to the bottom right-hand corner, and click on Pump Patrol. That's a look at your First Alert traffic.
Sponsored by the law offices of Richard Flexner. Serious accident or injury? Get Flexner. We're serious. Now, with the WECT mobile app, you'll never be without WECT News. From WECT.com to text and email alerts for breaking news and weather. WECT News. It's all right here in the palm of your hand. Sponsored by Window World of Wilmington. Simply the best for less.